Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Good to have you on board. Busy hour coming up here on Follow the Money. We'll go rapid fire, MLB, and the playoff card that we have coming up tonight. In-pocket plays coming up at the back end. Here we begin as a professional sports bettor. Paul Bovi joins the program. He comes into town for a couple of days, and he is kind enough to carve out a few minutes here to join us in studio. Thanks, pal. How are you?
Hey, it's great to be here. We missed you on Saturday, so Pauly got all the attention from the groupies, and you weren't there. So
Well, that's fine.
Anyway,
I'm married. He's not, so that
I
makes
know.
sense. Yeah, right.
Okay.
I brought the dog. He was he was having fun.
How was the reaction? Good?
It's all right, yeah.
Yeah.
He's excited with all the food, and there's a lot going on. So, but he did the best that he could. Jordan did a pretty good job.
Okay, so let's set this up. You are from New York, and you are a Knicks fan. You had? What is it?
I have.
You still have?
I have.
And how far did season tickets to the Knicks going back how long?
Since 1988, I started with 2 up in the blue section, progressed down to the green, and at one point had 8. I had 6 and a couple seats behind me, and it was a great time. I mean, look, I can complain all I want. All I know is I'm a lot closer to expiration than when the Knicks last won the finals. Okay, so I'm hoping that we get some love here, maybe this year, maybe in next year, but at some point in my lifetime.
That's incredible. You were able to hang on to him. There were some lean years. So as we're about to talk about, you had Patrick Ewing. You were right there with the Jordan Bulls. You made a couple finals appearances, but you haven't made the conference finals since 2000. So that once when Isaiah got involved, for you to hang on, you had to have probably take some losses.
Well, yes, I was hemorrhaging money for a while. And I actually had Rangers also, and I gave up the Rangers, and that was a mistake. Because the Rangers have been cash cows. The Knicks, yes, hemorrhaging money for many years. I mean, we had Linsanity. That wasn't bad. Then we had a couple good years around 2012. But, for the most part, it's just been a lot of nothing. Now, you tend to hang on to the past. And the past was the 90s, and you're expecting that to repeat. It never repeated. But as I said, that was an epic decade. I saw coaches hanging on legs, 4-point plays, layups missed under the basket. We all know who we're talking about. And a 2 for 18, we could have gotten over the hump against Houston, but John Starks just didn't come through for us. So.
Right.
Okay, so the 4 regular season games did not go well, but you know what? They're also in the past.
Yes.
I'm having a tough time, though. I'm hanging on to the past of what happened this year, and I can't see a path to the Knicks making this an interesting series. I think it might be a terrible matchup for this team. You see it a different way. Why?
All right, first of all, I'll go to last year. We lose 4 out of 5. But here's the key point. Anunoby comes in for the last game. We acquired him, obviously. It's a completely different team. No Barrett, okay? And we obviously bring over some key players this year. Towns, Anunoby, Bridges. It's a different club. Now, in game 1 this year, the Celtics, 29 of 61 from beyond the arc. But that doesn't tell the story, because at one point they were 29 of 48 midway through the 4th. Now, you're not going to win a basketball game. They actually missed the last 13 in an attempt to break a record. Okay? So I throw that one out. The second one, Anunoby did not play. What I didn't mention is the Knicks were 26-5 last year with him in the lineup. They were a losing team before they acquired him. So throw the second game out. The third game, look, there's some credibility there. Full lineups. The Celtics win by 13. And in the final game, the Knicks lose in overtime, 119-117. They blow 6 out of 16 free throws, and that ultimately cost them the game. But I do believe that they can compete. One thing I did not point out, when Anunoby came over for that last game last year, Jason Tatum, 5 of 13 from the field. I do like Anunoby, by the way, under his point total, because in the last 4 games against the Celtics, 4, 8, 12 and 13 points. So he's the consummate team player. He will sacrifice personal statistics for the sake of the team and to play defense. And I think he can get the job done.
Follow the money. Pauly and Mitch VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Paul Bovi, our guest, pro sports bettor for years, was on Wall Street and Knicks fan. So you think the $8 series price is outrageous. And Bob Ryan was on earlier, the legend, and said the Knicks are going to have to outscore them. Thinks they could go 6. It comes down to Cat, though, too. Don't you agree? Mitch mentioned Tatum 4-1 to lead in rebounds, most rebounds in the series. If I don't get aggressive Cat, and that's on both ends, like if this is a disappearing act and he's not active down low, he's not taking threes, and he's not doing much on the glass, then what? Because then I have to depend on Brunson like I did for much of the Detroit series.
Yeah, but it's better than depending on Precious Achiuwa, who played last year when we had guys out. The key is we have a healthy squad. I was there for that debacle, Game 7 last year in Indiana. It hurt, man.
Sure.
It really did.
You would have won, though, but everyone got hurt. It was tough.
We had at one point late in the game 85 points missing from the lineup. So to answer your question, look, Towns stepped up when he had to against Detroit. He hit some miraculous shots, no doubt. We got guys that can step up. If one guy doesn't show, somebody else will. We now have a full lineup, and I believe they can get it done. We have Mitchell Robinson back in the fold, and he's critical. He's a rim protector, and that's what we need. So I'm looking for him to compete. I did take the plus 2.5
games.
Yeah.
At what number?
I got over 5.5 games. I got plus 124, and then I played it here about 2 hours ago at plus 120.
Okay. You know, the same thing can be said, though, about the
number.
Celtics. If, in fact, Tatum has a series that's not typical Jason Tatum, which I think he's going to have a great series anyway, they got 6-7 guys that will kill you.
Absolutely. But the key to beating the Celtics is this. If you could stay remotely close to their three-point conversions, you could beat the Celtics. I mean, you look at this.
Can they do what Orlando did, which was limit the threes? Orlando did a good job. I don't know if they can.
They did a good job.
Yeah.
They did. But the Knicks, unlike Orlando from beyond the arc, can fill it up from three.
Yes,
Yeah.
certainly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would also say that,
Yeah.
you know what, I kind of think that I want the Celtics forcing up 50-plus threes a game. Because I hate it when they play like that every single night. And that can come back and bite them. Sure, they'll have a game where they hit 25 of them. They might have 3 games where they hit 16 of them.
Absolutely. Look, we know that three-point shooting decides a lot of these series and games. Jamal Murray comes in, Game 6, 8 of 14 from beyond the arc. Buddy Hield yesterday, 9 of 11. Buddy Hield came in in Game 7. He had hit 9 of 31. How are you going to win a game? Okay? Just over the top.
Look at Game 1 yesterday.
What?
Look at Game 1 yesterday, too.
Game 1 yesterday.
Indiana was 53%. Cleveland was 23%.
19 of 36 versus 9 of 38.
Hello.
Cleveland, the second best three-point shooting team in the league at 38.3. But I will point out that Cleveland had 70 points in the paint. 36 made field goals inside the arc, 35 of them inside the paint. That is not a recipe for winning basketball when it comes to Indiana. Miles Turner better get to the rim.
So what do you think about the point spread tonight now? Celtics laying 9, and by the way, the total did tick up. It's sitting at about 214 now. So money is coming in here, an hour or so before game time on the over.
Look, you know where I'm going. I'm good. Okay. It's like the Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Don't pay any attention to me because I'm going to give you just, my opinion's going to be the Knicks. But we'll see what happens. I'm a fan. I have an economic interest, but I really do believe from the ladder, financially, I do think the Knicks can compete this year. It's a different team.
Okay.
Hope you're right. Hope it's a competitive series. You have a photographic memory? Because you don't have any notes.
No, I don't.
We just
need
rattled
notes.
off 100 stats. You don't have anything in
I
front
don't
of you.
need notes. I don't need that. Okay, give me your credit card. I'll just store it. And
If you look at you need to look at the box score of any game. How
time?
many times?
once, maybe twice. Okay.
And it's tattooed?
It's kind of, I do have a pretty good memory. So
Yeah, because you've been on this show a handful of times. You've been on other shows a zillion times, and you never have anything in front of you, ever.
you know.
I used to be like that when I was 12.
Okay.
But the brain cells are long gone.
You could look at a box score once, and it was good.
Oh, that and like league leaders, I had everything memorized one time. But that's that's a long time ago now.
Okay, we're all blessed with certain talents, and
that is talent.
Well, come on.
Okay.
Give yourself some credit.
All right, dude. I'm a humble guy. What can I say?
I want to. Yeah, we'll have to go down a dark path though coming up here too, about what's going to happen. What happened last year?
We'll get some horse racing tips because you love betting the ponies as well. Did you have the Super? Did you have the Tri? Did you have anything?
So I play head-to-head matchups.
Okay.
I look forward to these marquee races because they post them. They didn't post a lot of them this weekend.
Tough to find.
But they posted them. They posted enough of them on Derby Day where I was just fixated on all of them and came up with 3 really good ones.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe some tips then to the Preakness or beyond coming up here with professional bettor Paul Bovi. Do you own a piece of any horses?
Not now.
Oh, you have before?
I have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Was it worth the time?
It was fun. It's expensive.
That's what I hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Ask
more
Miss
with Paul.
Arrow.
More coming up next with Paul. He made it very deep last year in Survivor, only to be knocked out by a massive upset. Is he over that loss yet? And what does he think of the Westgate adding a $5,000 Survivor contest?
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We continue with pro bettor Paul Bovi in studio here on a Monday. Mike Somich was on with us on Friday. He did give out the Super, which was great. Chris Massero also had the Super. You were talking about that right before the break, about how you like betting matchups in horse racing. You can expand on that.
Yeah, I do. First of all, pari-mutuel betting is one of the most difficult things or components of sports to beat. Why? The takeout is exorbitant. So unless you can get a rebate, which I do, you're not going to have a shot to really beat it. And when I'm talking a shot, I'm talking 99, 96, 97% of the bettors out there. Matchups pit one horse against another horse. And when you're talking about the Kentucky Derby with 20 horses in the race, there is a lot of racing luck. Now, I did have Medina Spirit. It was one of my biggest bets ever a few years ago. I was fortunate. And then I got beat by Rich Strike up the rail. I still watch the overhead, and I'm mesmerized as how this horse can come from the back and win that race. Cost me 5 figures. But when you play matchups, first of all, you're kind of beating the takeout, because if you have 10-cent matchups, which I know South Point did because I saw Vinny today and I looked online, you have a better shot than if you're working with a 17, 18% takeout plus racing luck, which kicks in a 20-horse field. So I identified 3 matchups on Saturday, and one of them was the 8-horse Journalism over Sandman. You know, Frank walks in to we're sitting in the Westgate, and he goes, "What do you like in matchups?" I go, "Fade Sandman." He hit 3 out of 4 of them. Sandman actually was last and closed and ran a reasonable race, but you know, I had the Journalism over Sandman. I laid money, I laid juice. I oftentimes don't do that, but it seemed too easy, and I laid up to 300 and stopped. And it was a great win, and I played a few more. So you're playing 10 cents on each side. It's one horse against the other, and the biggest problem is sometimes you don't know your fate until well after the race because they don't post the order of finish. So you're sitting there on pins and needles. I don't care about the top 3 or 4. I want to know who finished 12th, 13th, 14th, because that's what's going to determine a win or a loss.
If I would ask you pet peeves you have. Is that top of the list about why some of that stuff isn't available and why is it hard to find a matchup?
Absolutely. It wasn't available here. I mean, the last couple of years they had matchups on the Kentucky Oaks. I checked a few of the books here, no matchups. Unfortunately, I was able to get it. I was able to find it. And I found quite a selection. But sometimes in Vegas, I don't know. I'm not sure why they're not as aggressive as they should be. And maybe they should consider just kind of expanding these types of things.
The person you mentioned was Frank B., who's been on this show many times. Frank's excellent, pro sports bettor, sharp guy. Did you have a discussion with Frank about the $5,000 Survivor buy-in down the street?
No, I didn't, but I know Frank has always gone into the, the contest that Westgate offers with the $5,000 on the, what is it? Gold.
Gold.
Yeah.
Gold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I expect him to, to go in there. Personally, I probably will. I think what Derek has done here is just utterly fantastic. 14,000 entries last year, and you're probably going to see upwards of 20 now that it's gotten so much publicity, so much press, and you're going to have consortiums coming in. Even though you're limited to 10, it's going to be Joe and his brother-in-law and his sister-in-law, and they're all going to lump together, and try to take a piece out. So the good thing is, and someone that enters, you only have to win. You can compete with those people, but you're going to be at a disadvantage. I mean, you want to go in with at least 6, 7 entries, and to have a reasonable shot at it.
Mm-hmm. How many you went in with? How many last year?
I went in with 9, and I got knocked out on 2 earlier on 2 really unfortunate games. I actually took the Giants against Washington. They never punted, but they didn't have a kicker. Okay? Okay, and then I actually tried to sneak in the Patriots over Seattle. They had a lead with a couple seconds to go. Yeah. Seahawks tie it, overtime. Seattle wins the game. Okay, I got cute, lost an entry, lost another one, but ultimately ended up with 2, lost one on Cincinnati at home. Joe Burrow played giveaway, and then I lose my last one under circumstances which still makes my head spin the next to last week of the season.
Yeah, so you're not over it yet. You had the Colts against the Giants, your team. Again, you talked about this earlier. You had season tickets to the Rangers and the Knicks. You probably had season tickets to the Yankees and the Giants as well at some point in your life.
I still have Giants.
There you go.
I still have Giants. Been to the stadium once. I'll never go back again. Okay, never go back. The new stadium. But I actually had messaged my proxy, Maddie, and I said, "What's the deadline for the Chargers-Patriots game?" And he gives me the deadline, and then I end up submitting the Colts. So he messages me back 10 minutes before the deadline for the Charger-Patriots game. And he goes to me, "You sure you want the Colts?" Well, that should have been my Meg Ryan moment, like the sign. And I stuck with the Colts, and that's it. How long did it take me to get over it? I'm not fully over it. I would say romantically 3 days, returning phone calls 10 days, and cold sweats maybe a month. And then here I am, okay, and I still think about it. I still think about that Saturday and why I didn't go with the Chargers. But if I take any solace out of this, I would have lost the last week because I had Atlanta left over Carolina.
Okay.
But I will tell you that I would have played Carolina's team total for the max. I would have played it because that's how I was hedging along the way.
You showed me those tickets, yeah.
Yeah, I was hedging with team totals, and I would have grabbed a halftime play on the Panthers and taken out at least $400,000, but didn't work out.
And it had nothing to do with the money. It was the prestige and notoriety.
Yes, no, it has at that level. It has something to do with the money, but I'm a guy that likes to win. Winning is everything, So, when I'm not gonna need the money, but I'm gonna need to erase the memory of losing Survivor in the next to last week, and that's not something I'm gonna be able to do.
Take a shot at how many people you think will get into the $5,000 contest.
I would say 77,000.
What?
Yeah.
7,000?
Well, there's 14,000 here last year. You're still going to have groups in there. What do you, maybe 6,000? What do you think?
In the $5,000 entry?
Yeah.
Oh, you're way high.
They said they told us they're rooting for like 200 people to get to $1 million.
200
I
people?
think it goes over 200 easy. Yeah, you can get 10 each. Get 10.
Well, I mean, come on. There's going to be groups that go in there. Is there a guarantee? I didn't even.
I don't think so.
Okay. I mean, I just think there's going to be a couple thousand. I mean, guys like sharp guys are going to step in there and try to avoid this one, which is going to turn into a landmine. You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, they haven't had their say either. I mean, they're going to decide.
yeah,
They're going to come out with what they're going to do May 22nd.
Yeah, Derek's an innovator. He's going to do something.
Yeah. But you're right. When we get up to 20,000, if it gets to 20 here, and most people expect that.
Yeah.
About what you're going up against.
Right.
Great.
All right.
Great run last year. Incredible run.
Yeah.
Sorry
was
it didn't
great.
work out.
You know, I wasn't even watching these games. I was leaving the house with 5 minutes to go. I couldn't take it.
Yeah.
You know.
We were watching a game in October at Stadium Swim. I was still alive. You were alive. You had to leave the game like in the first quarter at halftime. Irish goodbye. Where's Paul? I don't know.
No, I remember that day because I was having a horrible day, just selection-wise, and I was so upset with it. I just, sometimes I just bail. I know this is just, some guys do this, whatever,
It's all right. No problem.
Great to see you again.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah,
Good
my
luck.
pleasure.
Good luck. I hope you're right about your Knicks. I hope you cash some tickets. Big one tonight. Edge Boost. Earn cashback rewards, so no usage cost. The card never declined. You love what you're doing, get paid for it. You love the bet. Sign up today, edgeboost.bet, promo code FTM. Never wait. You don't have to wait for that wire or the outrageous ATM fees if you go over your limit. Financial platform for smart bettors. Edge Boost. Sign up today. Get it now, edgeboost.bet, promo code FTM. Get that free money.
Good note there, by the way. You were hedging in Survivor by taking the other team's team total over. Good strategy.
Actually, I won that. Remember the Eagle-Carolina game?
Yeah.
I won that by, I think, a half a point or a point and collected both.
Yeah, you
Eagles
did.
win,
Yeah.
Carolina team total over.
Yeah. Rapid fire Major League Baseball card in the playoffs tonight as well. Next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Rapid fire here. Games tonight in the playoffs. Maybe sprinkle in some baseball as well. Celtics lane 9 total up to 214.
You might be right about the total, that it's we just pick off where we left off with the regular season. Tatum and the Celtics get whatever they want. Knicks can't guard them from three.
Well, I think this is going to be like going back over years, right? I would prefer to play overs early and unders late in the NBA.
So you can't like the pace, though. You hate the pace when you see a total like this because it's 29 against 26 in pace. So you're not going to get anything up-tempo, and you're not going to get transition baskets, and it's all let's grind you in the half court. And the Knicks, the Celtics are going to go to work to them in the half court.
I'm going to love the threes, though.
That's true. Okay, that's very good. And easier said than done. But I respect Paul. I just see the series a different way. I just think it's a horrible matchup for New York. And I also think there was great chemistry on the team last year. While I think they beat Indiana if they were healthy in 7, I just think it was great chemistry on that team. And now bringing in Cat and these other guys, while there's talent and you have Bridges, what you had to give up, I just don't think you can count on Cat. He disappears. And I think the way to attack it, you're right, is with threes. And Tatum should just go off in this series.
The other game, Thunder up to 10.5, 228 now with the total. Denver and Oklahoma City, 228.5 is the number here at Circa. Again, earlier today, that was 225.5 in this spot. What do you need to take with Denver?
Well, it's an all-time bad spot. We already saw this with Memphis, although Denver's not Memphis, but you got beat by 50 in Game 1. You have a emotional 7-game series. You didn't blow them out, but you win Game 7. Now you got to come back on short notice, and you got to play, at least it's a night game, and you got to come right back against a well-rested OKC team. Maybe the rust factor gets them But again, this is a lot of points. There are 10.5s out there when I have the best player in the world and the best player in the series.
I know. OKC won the season series 3-1. Remember, regular season night, I had a bet on Oklahoma City. You won't remember that. Nobody will. But they were dogs on the road against Denver to begin the season. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. This power rating, Oklahoma City's way too good. They blew them out. But then Joker had that unbelievable performance when they scored 140 at OKC. I think that was in the middle of when OKC's defense had that window of really, really struggling, and teams were doing a lot offensively to them.
Mitch, they should win in 5. But then again, that's what a lot of people said against the Clippers. So it is a great coach against still an interim coach. And odd that you make a change this late in the season. But again, number 1 all-time in point differential. The number 1 defense, number 1 in steals, number 1 in turnovers, number 1 in points off turnovers, number 1 in deflections, 50-1 straight up when you hold your your opponent under 110. I mean, it's just, and then they just come at you in waves, which how the depth as well. They don't turn it over. They force turnovers. Denver turns it over. They should be able to win in 5.
What do you make of the total? 228, 228.5.
That's a tough call. Maybe they're just too much for Denver, and Denver can't do much offensively. But I'll also be interested to see the pace in this one as well. But I think it's good from an in-play standpoint to see what happens with the pace.
We'll obviously expand on the games for tomorrow. Any early thoughts on the Wolves lane 7? You want to talk about a bad spot. It's a horrible spot for Golden State.
Yep.
And the other one, it did touch 10. The Cavaliers were up to 10. Now buy back on the Pacers. Now it's down to 9.
Well, I got to see the injury update, too. I mean, you walk into this today, wow. You have Mobley questionable, Hunter questionable, and we don't know what Garland again.
Sure.
He's missed 3 games in a row. But Paul's right. That'll never happen again, that they were 53% from 3, and Mitchell was 1 of 11, and they couldn't make anything.
Okay, let's say Mobley and Hunter are good to go in the game, but there's no Garland again, and the number goes back to 10. Do you take the Pacers?
Yeah, it's too much.
I have to take the Pacers.
Yep.
Yeah, I get the bounce back and the zigzag here after a loss. Teams have been awesome. That's a huge number to be laying against a really, really good team. I thought about this on the drive in today. Like, as much hype, and it's completely forced, and it's so ridiculous that the Lakers get every single year. I get it. I understand it. They're in L.A., whatever. If this Pacers team was called the Los Angeles Lakers, they would deserve all the hype. And they would have a superstar in Halliburton. But the reason nobody talks about him is because they play in Indianapolis, which is just stupid.
Mm-hmm. Great props up on now that you can bet game leaders night in, night out. You can bet who's going to lead each series, points, rebounds, assists, and PRA. And then you can bet the entire second round as well. So all of that is available now that we start the second round. As I mentioned earlier, and I like it, Tatum's $1.20 to have the most points in the series. SGA is $4.50. Wow. Threes?
So $4.50 on SGA means that there's going to actually be a decent number on somebody else.
Yeah. Joker, Murray, whoever, right? And you got the blowout factor that could happen. White's the favorite for most threes in the series. Then Tatum, then Brunson. Then you get into ridiculous odds. Pritchard, 25-1.
Right.
I like Murray in the Denver series. He's plus 350. Dort's the favorite. SGA's 5. Chet's 9. Williams is 9. Rebounds, what you talked about earlier. Tatum is 4-1 to have the most rebounds in the Celtics series. Cat's minus 425. I like your Tatum bet at 4-1. Hart's plus 550. And Joker's 1,600.
No, I would absolutely look at Tatum or Hart ahead of Cat in that series.
Yep.
At those numbers, for sure.
Yep.
Cat can have an off game. Look, I mean, he had a great season rebounding the basketball, but there's also a chance that he's in foul trouble in one of the games, and he might have 5. And I just think that Tatum might push for double digits every single game, and Hart can certainly do that as well. Because Hart's going to play how many minutes per game?
Yes, I see that.
44 minutes a game?
Yep. Assists, Brunson's minus 230. I think that's too high. He averaged 31-8 against Detroit. This is a different animal. And what if he's trying to get his and he's not getting others involved as well, and Cat standing around? There was a lot of that in that Detroit series. Tatum's 2. But then you got, I mean, how much does Holiday play? And I mean, because you're 12 White's 12-1, Hart's 11-1.
White would be maybe the one guy under consideration there.
And then, of course, with Joker, it's outrageous. He's 1,600 again for that in the OKC series. And I mentioned I like Curry to lead in threes in the Minnesota series. He's $1.60.
SGA to have a triple-double tonight is 55-1. He averaged like 6 and 6 with the rebounds and assists earlier this year in the regular season.
Joker?
Plus 110. He's in the plus 110 to plus 120 range tonight.
Okay.
He had 2 against the Thunder earlier this year, and he did average 25. Well, we'll round up here: 25 points, 16 rebounds, and 12 assists. Call it 11 and a half assists.
Okay.
On the year.
And can you get there with the Leafs? It's a much different ball game now compared to.
I want to. I want to get there for the series, but I haven't done it yet. I don't have the onions to do it yet.
Total 5.5.
Okay, how about that now? In 3 of the 4 games, we have a total of 5.5, and the VGK number tomorrow night is between 6 and 6.5. After what we just saw, again, it's the longer the playoffs go on, the more likely we're going to get like 2-1 games and 3-2 games to stay under that 5.5 total. But man, Paul, all these games are so super tight, and the goalies are getting yanked immediately with tons of time left on the clock. You might get 2 empty netters, as we saw, recently.
Well, I was going to say, how can you put up a 5.5 in the Winnipeg games? After what we've seen, that every game went over but one in the St. Louis. He got chased in every road game.
That's right.
And they come out with a 5.5 in Detroit Dallas had a high-scoring series against Colorado.
I know.
Other than the one game.
So that's bake that all in, and 5.5 seems like it might be a little bit short there. Especially, what if the place is rocking tonight in Toronto?
Well, it will be.
And they get
Especially,
one.
They got to get the.
Well, they have to get one early for sure.
Like our guest said, they're all quiet and sit on their hands if they give up the first goal.
I'll give you this couple of tweets that we're getting here at VSiN Live, at Mitch Moss Radio, at Pauly Howard. This is from Jason. He parlayed all 4 NHL dog series spread plus 2.5, plus 165 at DraftKings. I don't hate it.
Not bad.
And
Marner, by the way, is plus 260 anytime goal.
Plus 260.
Just had the baby, and it's his birthday.
He's going to be so popular at some of these books based on that angle.
16-1 first goal.
I don't think I've ever bet that market in my life.
Really?
Yeah, player to have the first goal, no.
Yeah. Let me see what he has. What does he have to point? 1.5 over plus 170 points. That's available at DraftKings.
This is from Pauly on X.
Hey, Pauly.
One question in the Leafs-Panthers series. Who has Kachuk? Enough said. Guy's awesome.
Well, Toronto's got studs, too.
I know.
I would say one question, who stays out of the box? I think special teams are going to decide a couple of these games and the series as well. Go all in at Circa with their great package, Ultimate Getaway, just $400. 2-night stay at Circa, $100 dining credit, $100 beverage credit, and your own day bed at Stadium Swim, where the party never stops, all for just $400. Resort fees and taxes included. Limited time offer. Stay between May 26th and September 4th. Lock it in now. All-in summer package. CircaLasVegas.com.
A phenomenal deal. 2 nights here at the hotel. Again, $100 on the dining credit, which you can go to Barry's, you can go to 8 East, Victory Burger. They're all like dynamite restaurants. And then you get the $100 beverage for the credit as well, and a day bed. Again, the rooms are basically, when you factor all that in, what are you paying for the rooms? Not much. That day bed can be invaluable at Stadium Swim.
A plus.
We will get into in-pocket plays, what we are betting next year, and follow the money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
To determine the winner of any given college basketball game.
Someone gives you 10,000 to 1 on anything. You take it. Take it. Take it.
I'll bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way. I'll give you 3-1 odds. Nope. 5-1. Nope. 10-1. You're on.
All right. Some interesting stuff just came down, which we'll get to in a second. In pocket. Let's cash some tickets. Warriors laying 3 on Friday night. Dead wrong. What a performance by the Rockets. And then, of course, they couldn't follow it up in 7. Yeah. Boy, they are either on or they are putrid, right? There's no in between offensively. And they need to get a dude.
They will. They
have assets. The Durant rumors are out there, but they need to get a score.
Well, the Giannis stuff is out there as well.
Yep.
I would say this for Giannis, if the Bucks are to do this and they were going to trade him in the offseason, and Houston, it would be a player to get him, the conversation has to start at Amen Thompson. If he's not involved in the deal, you're not trading Giannis. I absolutely love that kid.
Yep.
Steph Curry said last night after the game it's one of the best defenses he's ever played against. The team overall in Houston. But
Yep, no doubt. Warriors-Rockets over. That was an easy winner. And a blowout. Pacers, that's plus 2.5 games. That's for the series, plus 2.5 games. Not the Van Vliet over threes again. He caught fire. And that you cashed, I think, 4 in a row on threes and points. Blues team total over game 6. Didn't matter the game. 6 or 7 that it gets there. Chesterfield, League 2. They needed it against Accrington to make the playoffs. They won. That was a winner. And Morecambe also finished in last place, the bottom as well. They'll be relegated. Pacers to win the East pending, 19-1. Blues to win the series against the Jets, loser plus 150. That one was tough. At no point did I think the Jets were going to come back and win, and you could have grabbed 30-1 in play. I'm like, that's over.
But again, you had no reason to believe that.
No, that's true.
And so if you're going to lock up, but you're more times than not in that spot, you're just going to give money away on your ticket.
Yeah, well said.
There's no way you can beat yourself up over not coming back and taking some Jets.
3-1, less than 2 minutes. They give up the goal a minute into the game. They make it 2-1. Then the goal right before the end of the second period. And what a comeback. Alonzo over 1.5 total bases tonight. He has 3 bombs career off Nelson.
I like it.
Tatum, most points in the series, $1.25. He has gone off. Destroyed the Knicks this year. And Celtics minus 2.5 games, $1.20. There you go.
You
More
know
stuff
how
tomorrow.
you have some regret on bets that you don't make? I'm already regretting not taking the Pacers plus 2.5 games.
We have a series.
A
doubt.
couple of losers from Friday. The Rockies could get nothing off Robbie Ray. He was really, really good in that game. That was a loser with the total over. Good number. Doesn't matter. Jung-Hoo Lee over 1.5 total bases. Also no good on that one. Pending Tigers most wins in May, 16-1. Last week on the show I did add the Mariners as well at 33-1. And tonight I have Tatum over 27.5 minus 108. And Rodon under 5.5 strikeouts minus 110. A couple of things with this, right? Almost an 80% chance of rain tonight in New York. So I'm hoping there's an angle here where Rodon comes out, pitches a couple of innings. Oh, here comes the rain again, and they got to pull him. There's that angle. That's a possibility. But the bigger factor would be the Padres are exceptional at not striking out, if that makes any sense. And they're really, really good specifically against lefties, not Kane. So factor those two things in. I thought Rodon under 5.5 Ks was worth a bet tonight.
All right. Take your betting to the next level with First Bet. Whether it's Santa Anita, Gulfstream, or the road to the Triple Crown, First Bet puts the action at your fingertips. Sign up now, firstbet.com. Promo code VEASAN200. Get a 20% rebate on all your wages for the first 60 days, up to $200. Don't miss out. Bet smarter today. Firstbet.com. Kenny Atkinson just won Coach of the Year in his debut with the Cavs. Thought they would do that tomorrow.
I think they like to give away the awards the night that the team is not playing.
Okay. Mobley, Hunter, questionable for Game 2. Atkinson, it's a real concern, in addition to Garland. The Ravens cut Tucker, and the Clippers president said Kawhi and James Harden are the franchise's foundation. Why? There was retirement talk after Game 7. And then how can you say that about James Harden, who again disappears in a Game 7 or a big playoff game, period?
No.
Oh, man. Tough way to go out.
I never bought into the James Harden hype. I never did. Never trusted him in big spots. Never wanted to bet him to win a big series. Just the writing was on the wall too early in his career for me to get involved there. And I also just never... He's a really good basketball player. His style is not for me. The herky-jerky crap, I can't stand to watch.
Yeah.
And that's on him. 8 shots. How do you take 8 shots? How?
I know. That's him, though. That's what he does. Remember the Spurs game, Game 6 at home against San Antonio. Season on the line, no Kawhi Leonard.
Oh.
I think he took a couple shots. That's it in the first half. He was 2 of 11 for the game. What are we doing?
He's gonna, and you know what? He's going to be a Hall of Famer at some point. I would say this, and
it's out there. You have to see what the analyst said on the Clippers TV network after the game. He just went off on Harden for 2 minutes.
Scorched earth.
Scorched earth. Oh, he's a Clipper guy.
Yeah.
He calls the games for the Clippers. I don't know his name, but I wanted to play it, but it was 2 minutes. But he just goes, it started with Morey, and it's just time and time and time again, you let the organization down, and you did it again.
Yep, he did. He's let down every organization for the most part. And I'll say this, look, I mean, he has his faults. I would take Russell Westbrook any day of the week over James Harden. The reason why is because how many players have that much heart? And I know that that might be a super simplistic way to look at it, but that guy has been in the league since, 2008? And his motor has never stopped, ever.
Well, one guy also takes care of his body. The other guy's at the strip club a lot.
Yeah, okay.
The guy's got his jersey retired at that gentleman's club.
That's right, yeah.
He spent so much money.
Jeez.
How they did it, right? Lawrence Frank, our players are embarrassed about Game 7 and they're really upset how we lost the series. I was pissed off as a fan. Nothing better than Game 7, and it's over early.
I know. How can, if they're going to run it back with those two, then, I mean, are people going to make the case for them again next year?
Oh, I'll never do it again.
You can't get involved.
I'll never do it again.
There's no way. They have to make some drastic moves in the offseason to get involved. And that can't happen. So the Rockets need some three-point shooting for sure.
Yeah.
How about the talk start with like Giannis and Gary Trent? And then the Bucks and the take-back, it could be, what would you need? You have to have salaries line up, obviously, because Giannis makes $1 zillion. But as far as that young core goes, it would have to be Amen Thompson. I'd take Jalen Green. I know he had a terrible series. I'd take him. Throw in some Reed Shepherd action, who they took 3rd overall in the draft last year.
I'm not sure about that. The way Tim McMahon today on the Brian Windhorst podcast says they think he's the best offensive player on the team, and they like him.
That's what I'm saying.
They just couldn't.
If I'm the Bucks, I would ask for him.
Well, I'm sure. Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm saying Houston has to realize what they have here, and I hope they do.
He didn't get playing time this year because they have too many guys at that position right now. So they're going to have to do something. Obviously, they're close, right? They can turn into like an OKC version next year. They can win 60 games, but they obviously have to have some more guys from downtown. So you're on Alonzo tonight. I'll point this out again.
Hernandez had an RBI double already for the Dodgers too. He's got some great numbers going back his last 13 games.
Okay, he's on a mission this year. 2 teams off a doubleheader yesterday are playing tonight. It's the Cardinals and the Mets. Cardinals are at home to the Pirates. It would be a hold your nose type of bet. But also the Mets were in St. Louis for the doubleheader yesterday. Now they're in Arizona tonight. It's a clear pitching matchup with Canting as he's going against Ryan Nelson for the Diamondbacks. Doesn't have good numbers, and multiple guys against the Mets have actually hit him pretty well. But teams off of a doubleheader this year in Major League Baseball, the very next day, and playing a different opponent, they're 1-5. It's a super small sample size, but I think that at least needs to be baked into some sort of handicap when you're looking at these games. Might not be an automatic play, obviously, to go against them, but there's also fatigue. Bullpens could be worn out. It's a lot of baseball playing in one day, and you turn right around again, and you're taking on a new opponent.
Got to go Seattle A's over, too. The launching pad. We're back in Sacramento.
Yep.
And the way Seattle's playing and how they're hitting the ball, been great offensively. You mentioned about the coaching stuff, the hitting angle as well. So,
and
got to go back to that at 7:05 first pitch.
Super strong numbers from our buddy Kevin Rogers here. The Cubs are 23-7-5 in the first 5. They're also on a 10-1-3 run in their last 14 games in the first 5. Boyd is going tonight for the Cubbies. He's had a nice start to the season. And the Giants are awful against lefties. So they would much prefer to go against right-handed pitching than... In fact, you know what? What are my notes on this real quick? The Giants have lost 8 of 10 games in which they've been opposed by a lefty this season. They're 20-5 against right-handed starters.
Not bad.
That's pretty big.
It's good stuff.
Yep.
Absolutely. Prime time coming up next. Tim Murray cashing out. Joe Serralo. By the book, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. tomorrow. And good guest coming up on the show tomorrow. Jonathan Davis trying to stay out with the props in hockey. Good luck, everyone. Cash some tickets.
For the ones who get it done, The most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.